Here in Moscow, we're more taken up with dinners and gossip than with politics. Hello everyone, welcome back to another diaries entry of me reading War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. There's some corrections we need to make. So, Sonia is the orphan cousin, and Nikolai is the eldest son of Natalie and Andrei Rostov. Let's get into the story. So I will say this time around, in some parts, not in a lot of, not the whole 25 pages, it was just in some scenes. Leo Tolstoy's meticulous writing, right, very descriptive. It just came across as really wordy and it felt like a chore to read. Like there were two scenes. I think there was the dance, and then it was when Pierre is walking to his father. Busy scenes like that. It was just like, okay. I did find myself like, okay, how many pages do I have left? And then also too, I was thinking to myself about this particular book translation. So this one was translated by Richard Pevere and Larissa Bolkonsky. I got I don't know what this is called, Penguin's Random House Vintage Classics. The thing with this translation is that there's a big portion that is written in English, and then there are the French parts. I think you have to go at the bottom and read the bottom portion because it's such a big book. It's like a lot going on, and the bottom part of the book is starting to tear because like I'm trying to read, and then I gotta read at the bottom, and I feel like a lot of movement, right, is what's contributing to the tear at the bottom. That was something that I really noticed, and it was kind of taking me away from the story, having to stop, go down, figure out which symbol I need to match with the others, with the symbol that I'm about to read that, and then figure out where I'm at, go back to the story. Like this reading experience overall, it felt like a chore. It was like a lot to do, and I don't want to do that. So yes, let's get into the story because we're not trying to waste no time here. So Natalie told Anna Mikhailovna to invite Pierre to dinner. Another correction. So they had lunch. So when they were all sitting down and Sonia left because Nikolai was being a bit flirtatious with Julie, that was lunch. Anna went to Count Bezukhov's place and spoke to Prince Vasily, and then they are going back to have dinner. So it's the same day. They're still celebrating Natalie and Natasha's names day. Still don't know what that is. I didn't really look into that, but there's that. There's some corrections there. Anna tells Boris to go and speak to Pierre and invite him to the dinner, and they kind of have their little conversation. One thing that I'm noticing is that Pierre really, I don't know if I want to say idolized, but he definitely favors Napoleon. He's pretending to fight the wall, right, with his sword and stuff like that. And he is kind of like acting, I guess, as Napoleon or whatever when Boris walks in. And I'm realizing that Pierre is really awkward with this read. He's extremely awkward. Like I said before, he has this childlike way about him. So much so that it there's no sense of security in his identity. There's no sense of security in what to do. I don't know, because there are moments where he opens up and he's speaking and he is saying things, but he just lacks a lot of confidence at times. And so I'll leave it at that. But Boris and Pierre, they have a conversation, and in the end of that, Pierre makes it his business to be Boris's friend, get to know him better. Prince Vasily, he tells Pierre, do not see your dad. His illness is getting worse. Don't see him. And so Pierre decides to stay in his room because he gets we'll talk about that. He decides to stay in his room and stay out of people's way, which is oh my gosh, Prince Vasily was really getting on my nerves. I thought Anna Mikhailovna was top tier schemer, but Prince Vasily, he's no better. Honestly, he's no better. And the fact that he had the nerve to look down on Anna and Boris, they're just you are no better, sir. So we go from Count Bezukhov's to the Rostov's place, and Natalie is talking to her husband, and she's just so like, she's so sad. She's so like dramatic. And she's asking her husband for 500 rubles. He gives it to her, doesn't ask no questions. But I wonder if that's because I think Matenka, he tries to say something to him. So I wonder if there's something going on financially. I'm really interested to see how that turns out, especially since, you know, like, we're on the precipice of a war. They have this cute little scene, Natalie and Anna. Natalie gives her the money to help to buy her son Boris's uniform, and they cry together, and it's really, really cute, and it's super dramatic, but it's still really cute and very enjoyable to read. I just like their whole friendship. And then we go to the actual dinner. So we're introduced to a couple of characters. There was, I remember Shin. I remember there was like a German colonel. There was also a lady named Maria Dmitrieva, who's pretty well respected and feared at the same time. They have this conversation. So there was a German colonel that talks about a manifesto being sent out to the commander-in-chief, and that manifesto, I think it announced the declaration of war against Napoleon. We're also introduced to Berg, who is Vera's, I don't want to say boyfriend, but love interest, I guess you could say. The way that he was described was he was pretty quiet until it was talking about himself, and then he would become really animated, really passionate, really invested in the conversation. So yeah, they were having a talk about like this manifesto that was being sent out, and Maria Dmitrieva, she shuts it down. She's like, all right, let's stop talking about it. They have their dinner, and then they go into some sort of hall, like a big room or whatever, and they start dancing. Natasha is dancing with Pierre, and then her dad starts to dance with Maria Dmitrieva. No. Before that, Natasha, they ask the kids to sing. So Natasha and Nikolai, they're supposed to sing something, but Natasha can't find Sonia, so she goes looking for her, and she finds Sonia like crying on the bench or something like that. So what had happened? So remember the last episode I was saying, like, I think like Vera is up to no good. She's a character we gotta keep an eye out on, and lo and behold, Vera found some verses that Nikolai and Sonia had written and threatened to tell Natalie. Stating that Sonia was ungrateful and that Natalie wouldn't allow Nikolai to marry Sonia, but Julie instead. Now, this is a sore spot for Sonia because Sonia already thinks that Nikolai low-key likes Julie because he'd be flirting with her or whatever, and they assign them two together when they're eating. But Nikolai has made it very clear that he loves Sonia and not Julie, and that he and Sonia will be together. But I understand. Sometimes like actions are louder than words. And if you sitting next to her and you smiling and got the glossy twinkly eyes when you're looking at her, like it's hard to believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. And I think Vera is using that to get back at Sonia for whatever reason. I don't know. It could be jealousy because like they formed like a 4-person group and excludes Vera. We'll see. I mean, we've got a long way to go, so I'm pretty sure something's going to be explained, right? It could also be because like she's an orphan. Another scene where 2 girls, they're together and they're showing their sisterhood, and they're very dramatic and they're both crying, and it was just like, oh my gosh. I thought it was adorable, but I thought it was also funny. While the Rostovs dance the night away, Pierre's father, Count Bezukhov, has had his 6th stroke. It's a madhouse with people entering in and out of Count Bezukhov's room, maids and doctors urging about to and fro. Count Bezukhov personally requests his son Pierre to come see him. So I think they send an adjutant or they send somebody to go to the Rostovs to bring Pierre back to the house. Now, while all of this craziness is happening, right, Prince Vasily has realized something is up. And this is where we get to see Prince Vasily at his most diabolical. So he goes to Count Bezukhov's oldest daughter and tells her that the Count wrote a letter to the sovereign asking to legitimize or recognize Pierre as a legitimate son, which means, like, if this happens, this means that if this falls through, if the paperwork falls through, Pierre, according to the will, shall inherit everything. And now Prince Vasily, we talked about this before. He is down bad financially, and so he could really use the money. Now, he is tied to Count Bezukhov through his wife, okay? And that would make him, right, the heir to the fortune. But if Pierre is legitimized, it's no longer the case for Prince Vasily, and he is nervous. Like, he's trying to talk to Princess Katerina, who is Count Bezukhov's oldest daughter, and it takes him a few times because she doesn't get it. It finally clicks for her, and they go to search for Count Bezukhov's papers. So while this is happening, okay, Anna Mikhailovna, she has her own plan. She tags along with Pierre, and she's telling him, like, listen, I am looking out for your best interest here, okay? I think she thinks that there's something going on, but she is sticking by his side and, you know, kind of gaining access into the place, into the rooms, right? By just announcing, like, hey, like, this is Count Bezukhov's son. She asks where Katerina is, and then they walk into where they're at, and then they see them, and they both look like really out of character. So this was really, really interesting. I'm really excited to see how this whole thing plans out, and then I can talk about it. But there's a lot of things that I'm realizing that I don't remember. And I think at that time I was reading to gain completion. I was reading for the sake of completion and not for the sake of enjoyment and for the experience. And so, unaware of what to do, Pierre decides himself to give himself entirely to the will of those who were guiding him. I really love that line. Because he was kind of low-key pissing me off, because I was like, oh my gosh, Pierre, like, why are you why are you acting like this? Like, it really felt like a child. He really felt like a child. Like, he just really felt so like, ugh. You're just like, maybe I shouldn't go. Maybe I should go to my room. What are you talking about? Your dad specifically wants to see you. Go talk to your dad. Why are you acting so incompetent? I don't understand. Like, why are you acting so juvenile? Why are you acting so childish? And so that was kind of took me off a little bit. But seeing Prince Vasily anxious and on edge, it was just so comical. And seeing Anna connecting the dots, it was just like, oh my God, we're about to do something. I know it's gonna happen. That's why I'm so excited, but I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. It's going to be for next episode. And so Pierre goes to see his dad. And yeah, that's pretty much where I left off. I wanted to keep reading, but I was like, no, let's pace ourselves. I don't want to rush. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about really quickly, Pierre notices, right, when he's in the room with his dad, there's a lady that offers him a chair, and then he drops a glove, and then someone picks it up and gives it to him. I thought it was interesting and yet sad that in this moment, Pierre realizes that people were showing him a respect no one had ever shown him before. And then it made me think about Prince Andrei. Right? And I was like, wait, but Prince Andrei is his friend and is nice to him and all that stuff like that. He seems to be respectful towards him. But then I realized that there was a scene where Andrei was talking to him about pursuing his career or something like that, and staying away from women and never getting married and stuff like that. I remember there was a line where either Pierre observed or Leo was telling us how Prince Andrei spoke to him or looked at him with a sense of superiority. And then I was like, oh, okay. Because I was like wondering, like, really? So no one's been respectful to you? I don't get it. But I think it's in their gestures, the way that they were looking at him, like the way that they were seeing him. Because Anna announces him as Count Bezukhov's son. And so I think that people were looking at him as a respectable man, right? As their peer or someone of higher, I guess, status, because him being labeled the son would mean that he would inherit all of Count Bezukhov's fortune and legacy and all that stuff like that. So I think that there was a level of looking at him in a high regard. And so I'm guessing that that's what he means by that. Because I was confused. I was like, wait, but like Natalie and Anna, when they spoke to him, like they were nice to him or they tried to. And so I think that's what that is, though. I think that in Anna proclaiming his legitimacy, people started to look at him differently. And it wasn't just about hey, you can have my chair, but it's the way, right? The chair was offered. It was the way they gave him the glove back and the way they were looking at him while he sat there. And so, yeah, I'm going to end this here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you guys were able to enjoy yourselves. And if you are reading this book, let me know. Yeah. Till next time. Bye.